a bill for an act to amend the 2023 Supplementary Appropriation Act to extend the implementation year from 31st December 2023 to 31st March 2024. This was taken during the plenary session on Thursday at the National Assembly complex in Abuja, the nation's capital. In another development, the Senate has confirmed the appointment of 11 Supreme Court justices appointed by President Bola Tinubu to fill the vacancies on the Apex Court bench. This confirmation was sequel to the consideration of a report by the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters at Thursday's plenary. The chairman of the committee, Senator Mohammed Monguno, while presenting the panel report, said that the nomination and appointment satisfy the constitutional provision of Section 231, subsection 3, which states that an individual needs 15 years' experience on the bar to be qualified for the Supreme Court justice. This, he said, the committee members were satisfied with the nomination of justices and therefore recommended their confirmation. Speaking on the committee report before the confirmation, some lawmakers expressed concern over the delay in the appointment of justices for the Supreme Court bench, while commending President Tinubu for reflecting federal character in the appointments.
The committee, after the cleaning exercise, deliberated on the nominees' suitability for appointments as justices of the Supreme Court of Nigeria and hereby made the following findings: that the appointment of the nominees satisfy the requirements of the provisions of Section 231, subsection 2 and subsection 3 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. That there is no criminal record or adverse report found against the nominees, as record checks and other forms of investigation by relevant security agencies did not reveal any negative trace against them.
And should also perhaps pass it to the executive, which is the appointing authority, that here we are screening 11 justices for the Supreme Court at the same time. Very commendable act the President has done, but we shouldn't be doing this at this time. For so long, these vacancies have existed. They could have been filled long before now. We had a situation where areas in this country were left without representation. This is also drawn from page 9. Page 9 of this report. If you look at the distribution of the 21 justices of the Supreme Court of Nigeria as presently constituted, Mr. President, you will immediately see that great job was done in balancing nominations across the 6 geopolitical zones.
Let me congratulate all the nominees hereby confirmed by the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as justices of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, and pray that God will give them the wisdom, the enablement, the strength of character, and the will to carry out justice in our dear country. And I must also commend Mr. President for the appointment across states, irrespective of political leanings.
In the meantime, the Senate adjourned its plenary till December 29 to allow for Christmas celebrations. Lawmakers will have to return after the Christmas holiday to consider and pass the 2024 appropriation bill. The Comptroller General of the Nigeria Correctional Service, Haliru Nababa, has charged the 5,014 newly promoted officers to rededicate themselves to the service and eschew all forms of unethical conduct. Nababa made the appeal in Abuja shortly after decorating 53 out of 5,014 newly promoted by the service on Thursday. The Comptroller General, who congratulated the lucky officers for the feat, urged them to see their elevation as a big challenge, noting that the service now expects more from them. He had joined them to comport themselves and justify their new ranks, adding that the new ranks should not be an instrument of oppression and intimidation to other officers and Nigerians in general. He added that the 5,014 officers promoted were done on merit, while he charged others to brace up on their duties. The Correctional Service boss, Nababa, further stated that the commitment of the service to the welfare of the inmates at all times.
Of significant note is the fact that the entire year 2023 promotion exercise took place within record time, signifying great involvement in the system and improvement. A total of 5,014 officers benefited from the exercise, representing about 72% of those who served, but with a few officers who have been promoted to place, add more, read more, because they are now leaders in their own right. For those who are unable to get promotion, let me say, it's a privilege, but it comes with hard work. You must put your best in order to earn promotion. And I'm sure going forward, maybe, I don't know what the board may come up with.
A professor of economics, Professor Pat Utomi, has admonished Nigerian leaders to emulate the late legendary and former governor of Lagos and Imo State, Rear Admiral Ndubisi Kanu, who exhibited an exemplary life of a good leader. Speaking at a program to honor late Ndubisi Kanu, who died some months ago, Professor Utomi, Pa Fred Agbayeye, and other eminent Nigerians called on all Nigerians to work towards a better Nigeria. A senior advocate of Nigeria, Tochukwu Onyuke San, said late Ndubisi Kanu was a true leader who did excellently well in building a beloved community between the East and the Western Nigeria, and his legacies must not be allowed to die. Former People's Democratic Party chairman in Lagos State, Captain Tuji Shelley, said Kanu was a hero of democracy, stating that his monumental efforts during the fight for democracy on June 12 pro-democracy struggles remains unforgettable. He called on today's leaders to deal with fellow Nigerians with honesty, truth, and transparency, which were the hallmarks of Ndubisi Kanu.
If we had done what we needed to do, we wouldn't be where we are. I just got into the country a few hours ago. I'm spending more time traveling around the world than in Nigeria. What's embarrassing being in Nigeria? But it's a complete mess. It reminds all of us that we have a duty, we have an obligation to do the needful so that we don't get to where we should not go. This was the life passion of Admiral Ndubisi Kanu.
Most of the things he did, and in his devotion, a place called Nigeria that does not even know those who keep it going. In the middle of the disruption, the life that Nigeria was and still is.
Even though he trained as a military officer, he was a pro-democracy advocate. Than a military officer who rose through the ranks. His beliefs and quotations in democracy, and I quote, he said, "When you finish what you're doing, we are all political by nature. Everything about politics concerns all of us." He described military rule as an aberration and a thing Nigeria should never experience again. Yes, he made that statement. The Admiral had played his role both as a naval officer and administrator, and I pray that many more will follow his footsteps.
The former governor of Akwa Ibom State, Emmanuel Udom, has urged young Nigerians to cultivate a vision, emphasizing that lacking a clear direction or purpose can result in aimlessness, indecision, and a feeling of stagnation. The former governor, who disclosed this in Ogun State on Thursday, emphasized that one's mindset is the foundation of success, and a clear vision provides meaning and purpose to one's endeavors. He stressed the importance of a well-defined vision to bolster one's objectives, fostering positive transformations and promoting the development of strategic connections. The Chancellor, Mountaintop University, Professor Daniel Kolawole Olukoya, reiterated the significance of the 3 Ds, which implies desire, determination, and discipline to achieving success in life. The Vice Chancellor, Mountaintop University, Professor Elijah Ayolabi, encouraged youth to employ divine wisdom and personal determination to lead a righteous life, make sound decisions, achieve success, envision distant goals, reach great heights, and ultimately influence the world.
Make your education count in your line of thinking, in your line of attitude, in your line of action. As the motto of this institution says, you have been empowered to excel. Make excellence your watchword and be proud ambassadors of this citadel of learning. The world is your oyster, and my challenge to you today is rise to greatness. Make your mark, conquer the world, and become a blessing to humanity.
Vision, leadership, opportunities, and challenge of excellence, and then the relationship will help you a lot. So if you gather those points together, then don't forget the 3 Ds I've come here to talk to you about. Number 1 D, a desire. To follow those things that you have had today, you have a desire. But 2 is a determination to pursue it. And the 3rd D is discipline to achieve that which you want to achieve.
Portray that aspect, that relationship works a lot. And you should also have fear of God in what you do. Professor Olukoya, a study scholar, extremely very simple human being.
Bola Tinubu on Thursday evening arrived in Lagos from Abuja ahead of the Christmas celebrations. Nigeria's presidential jet NAF 001, which conveyed the president, arrived at the presidential wing of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport Ikeja at 3:55 p.m. local time. He was welcomed by a waiting crowd of supporters. President Tinubu was received at the airport by Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, his deputy Dr. Obafemi Hamzat, Secretary to the Lagos State Government Barrister Abimbola Salu Hudei, Head of Service Olabode Agoro, Chief of Staff Tayo Ayinde, amongst others. Lagos State All Progressives Congress APC chieftains, led by its chairman, Pastor Cornelius Ojelabi, members of the Governor's Advisory Council, State Executive Council, and top government officials were also at the airport to receive Mr. President. President Tinubu was accompanied by his principal private secretary, Mr. Hakeem Muri Okwola, and other close aides. The Lagos State Government on Thursday held its 2023 Christmas Carol of 9 Lessons and End of the Year Party themed King of Righteousness, and was organized by the Ministry of Home Affairs at the Lagos State House in Ikeja. The annual End of the Year Party was witnessed by Christian clerics, wife of the Governor Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, government functionaries, and political leaders across the state. Speaking at the event, the wife of the governor said the story of Jesus Christ is a typical example of how mankind should live with a common purpose, who preached togetherness and unity among all Nigerians. The Commissioner for Home Affairs and Culture, Ibrahim Layode, emphasized on the spirit of love and good neighborliness.
As we celebrate Jesus Christ through spreading his love and hope for humanity, we must continue to preach togetherness and spread the message of tolerance. peaceful coexistence, and harmonious relationships among people of diverse beliefs and backgrounds. We must also follow his teachings and actions, which exemplifies a righteous living as we strive to follow his footsteps. Let us remember that through faith in him, we can experience true righteousness and find hope and fulfillment in our lives.
To rejoice and appreciate the faithfulness of God in our lives as we proceed with the program, with the assurance that year 2024 will usher in more progress, dividends of democracy to all. While we are in celebration mode toward the Christmas and New Year celebration, I wish to implore us all to keep safe and be our brothers' keepers by extending love and the spirit of sharing to the less privileged.
In a related development, the Ogun State Governor, Dr. Abiodun, has urged Nigerians to renew their faith in God, be resilient, and hope for better days ahead in the face of the current socio-economic challenges facing the country, saying that the challenges confronting the nation are surmountable. He was speaking at the year 2023 Christmas Carol and service of 9 lessons held at the Arcade Ground, Governor's Office in the state capital, where he also talked to them not to lose sight of the values that define them as a people, but continue to love one another. The event attracted the presence of the former President Olusegun Obasanjo, the General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, and wife, former Governor Olusegun Shoba, former High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, Sarafa Ishola, traditional rulers, among other distinguished personalities.
Near cohesion and unity of purpose, giving them a renewed hope. In our pursuit of progress and development, let us not lose sight of the values that define us as a people. Please note that the true measure of our success as a state is not only in an economic achievement, but also in our resolve.
You're still watching the Primetime News. Up next are stories from the foreign scene. Welcome back. Hamas says that Palestinian groups have rejected the prospect of further hostage releases until Israel agrees to end the war in Gaza. The statement was released as talks in Cairo continue over reaching a new truce in the war, but Israel has repeatedly rejected a permanent ceasefire. The Hamas-run Gaza government said 20,000 people had been killed since Israel launched its military campaign against the group. Meanwhile, at least 20,000 people have been killed, while about 8,000 children and 6,200 women are among those killed in the Gaza Strip since Israel began bombarding the enclave more than 10 weeks ago. The grim milestone was passed as the United Nations Security Council postponed a key vote on a bid to boost humanitarian aid for Gaza for the third time to avoid a veto from the United States, which traditionally shields its ally Israel from UN action. When asked about the ever-growing casualty count, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said it is clear that the conflict will move and needs to move to a lower intensity phase.
And for the carnage committed by Hamas, Palestinian civilians must be protected. That means Hamas must cease using them as human shields. It's hard to think of an act of greater cynicism. It means Israel must take all possible precautions to avoid harm to civilians. It means food, water, medicine, and other essential humanitarian assistance must be able to flow into Gaza and to the people who need them. It means civilians must be able to get out of harm's way. It means humanitarian pauses must be considered for these purposes. We call on all countries, particularly those with the greatest capacity to give, to join us in meeting the UN's appeal for the humanitarian situation in Gaza.
Border officials in the UK and France have welcomed a really significant drop in the number of migrants crossing the English Channel this year in small boats. Official figures are down by over a third compared with 2022. The UK has helped to fund a doubling of French police patrolling the border along the other measures like drones, but tens of thousands of migrants remained ready to attempt the dangerous journey. We'll take another break to bring you sport news. Welcome back. Plans for a breakaway Super League were widely condemned when they were announced in April 2021. Revamped plans for a controversial European Super League have been announced after a top court ruled that banning clubs from joining a breakaway league was unlawful. The proposal is for a league system which would include 64 men's clubs and 32 women's clubs. The plans for a new ESL format would rival current UEFA tournaments. Following the announcement, Manchester United said in a statement they remain fully committed to UEFA competitions. Meanwhile, UEFA President Alexander Keferin said football is not for sale after a revamped European Super League was proposed. In 2021, 12 teams signed up to the ESL, a breakaway European tournament to rival current UEFA champion competitions. Seferin said UEFA will not try to stop the organizers of the ESL. The new proposal put forward by A22, the organization which backed the original ESL, is for a league system which would include 64 men's clubs and 32 women's clubs. Domestic leagues across Europe were quick to condemn the project, including the Premier League, which said in a statement it will continue to reject any such attempt as the ESL. And to athletics, Kenyan double Olympic champion Eliud Kipchoge will take part in the Tokyo Marathon in March, his UNN running team said on Thursday. The 39-year-old, who set the course record of 2:02:40 in his only Tokyo appearance, recollected his good memories in Japan, where he won Olympic gold medal and ran the course record in the Tokyo Marathon. He believes it's the perfect preparation towards his aim to win a third consecutive Olympic title next summer in Paris. And the Los Angeles Lakers continue to drift downward from their triumph in Las Vegas a week and a half ago, this time dropping a game in Chicago Bulls amid a flurry of three-point shots in the Windy City. Lakers defense continues to falter, surrendering 18 three-pointers to Bulls, who beat them 124-108, outscoring the Lakers by 18 from three-point range as the Lakers defense continued to soften. Anthony Davis briefly leaves the game after turning his ankle, but finishes with 19 points and 14 rebounds. And that's the primetime news on MITV. Thanks for staying with us. I am Chimoke Michaels. Good night.